On January 27th, Honduras will inaugurate a new president, Nasri Asfuda. Asfuda won by less than 1% of the vote after a controversial recount that was twice delayed because of technical difficulties. His victory marks a return to power for the National Party, whose previous president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, was convicted in the United States for drug trafficking. But the National Party appears to have a strong ally in U.S. President Donald Trump. Just days after throwing his support behind Asfuda, Trump pardoned former President Hernandez. The surprising return of the National Party to power comes on the heels of another narco scandal in which InSight crime played a central role. On September 3, 2024, we published a video showing Carlos Zelaya, the brother-in-law of Honduran President Xiomara Castro, in a room full of the country's most powerful drug traffickers. The video was taken in 2013, and in it, Zelaya is seen negotiating campaign contributions for Castro's bid for the presidency. She lost that election, but later leaned on an anti-corruption message to get elected in 2021. The video effectively blew up that narrative and left Castro and the ruling Libre Party vulnerable to criticism. Its candidate finished a distant third in these most recent presidential elections. I'm Stephen Dudley, the co-director of InSight Crime. This is the story of how we got that video. It's told to me by Jeff Ernst, one of the two determined journalists who obtained the video. This story is as much about journalism as it is about corruption. Jeff and his reporting partner, David Adams, literally went the extra mile to get the video. Just one heads up before we start. Jeff mentions many people, among them Carlos Zelaya and Xiomara Castro, but also Juan Orlando Hernandez, that same former Honduran president who was extradited and convicted of drug trafficking in the United States before later being pardoned by Trump. He also mentions members of the Cachitos drug trafficking organization, which was once the country's most powerful criminal group before they too were arrested and convicted in the United States. Here is my interview with Jeff. We recorded a few weeks prior to the November 30th presidential elections, but decided to wait until now to air it, so it would not impact the vote. Jeff, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How did this particular story start for you?
Sure. I mean, this was really an extension of covering the whole Juan Orlando Hernandez saga because I covered the trial of his brother, a former legislator who was indicted on drug trafficking charges while Juan Orlando was still president. His trial was in October 2019. And it was a big deal because Juan Orlando was the sitting president. His brother's on trial in New York for drug trafficking. Every day there's huge accusations coming out about both of them, not just the one on trial. And that trial really made clear to me two things. One, that Juan Orlando was a target himself of the DEA, and I was convinced really at that point that they would indict him. And two, after just covering that case and really digging into the cases in Honduras, it became really clear that the former leaders of the Cachitos drug clan, which was one of the most notorious cartels, most people call it, but really just family drug clan in Honduras. They had captured unknown amounts of videos over a year, during which part of it they were cooperating with the DEA, but they actually started recording the videos prior to cooperating. So they had recorded dozens and dozens, could be over 100. I wouldn't be surprised. Videos of Honduran drug traffickers and politicians, and that because of those videos, everyone was pleading guilty that they were extraditing from Honduras because had video evidence that you just can't refute it, especially with those charges being constructed the way they are. But because of that, because everyone was pleading guilty, these narcos weren't going to trial, these videos weren't coming out for the most part. There'd be references to them sometimes. And so we were really interested in getting some of those videos without even knowing really what was on them at that point. So myself and my colleague David Adams, who at that point was my editor at Univision, we sent out a letter over time to every single Honduran trafficker that's in prison in the United States.
So let's just back up a sec here. How did you compile the list of all these traffickers?
I like to make databases. I made my own database, just going through everyone who's been extradited or requested for extradition that's public, at least from Honduras. And then we also attempted to contact several of the closest associates from Mexico and Guatemala who had come up in their cases. So I'd figure out what prison they're in, who their lawyer is, all that, and just create a big database. And we went through one by one and sent letters to every single one of them.
Letters, actual physical letters with stamps and everything.
Mm-hmm.
How many letters do you think you sent out?
We contacted about 50 people.
Is it safe to say this was a fishing expedition? Would that be an accurate description?
Absolutely, what it was, and that's what I call it when I talked about it. It threw a very, very wide net. We also work to build sources and attempt to contact people close to the Cachiros who obviously made the videos, everything like that. So we did just a ton of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we sent the letters out right before the pandemic, and so that kind of slowed things down.
And then when do you actually get a hit for the video?
To that person, I think we sent the letter right after the pandemic in 2022. And then it was May of 2024, right? Yep, it would be 2024 that we all of a sudden got a text.
And what did the text say?
Just basically, hi, you sent me this letter in prison one time, and there's a picture of the letter that we had sent, and there was a picture of the letter sent to specifically Byron Ruiz, a former drug trafficker from Olancho.
So Byron reaches out, and what are the conversations that follow?
Well, Byron, right there in the text, his next message is he sends a screenshot, basically like he just searched Carlos Zelaya and screenshot of the first thing that came up. Carlos Zelaya, who is the brother-in-law of current Honduran President Xiomara Castro and brother of former President Manuel Zelaya, and at this point, when Byron contacts us, was the secretary of the Honduran Congress. So really, like, you could argue he was the third most powerful person in Honduras at that point, behind Xiomara and his brother Mel. And he said, he's got something that might interest us, might interest the media. And then I eventually had a chat with him via phone. He told me he had a video of Carlos Zelaya. We didn't really specify what exactly, but obviously video, that's like the dream of what you want to hear as a journalist from a source, because
right,
videos are pretty hard to refute.
What gave you confidence that he actually even had it, that he had something in his possession, and he wasn't just yanking your chain?
You never know, I guess, but I just felt like it was too random to say video specifically. People always try to reach out and tell great stories that they have no evidence for, but for him to say video, I don't know. I mean, he's in that world, and seemed plausible.
Yeah.
So I, tried to get him to send it to me via email. It was a very big file, and I don't think he had the technical capacity to send it.
So you don't think it was like he was fearful? It was just that he's just not technologically savvy.
I mean, these guys, a lot of times, I mean, they don't even graduate 6th grade,
Yeah.
So I don't know. He later told me he had to go retrieve it too. So that was part of the delay. But I don't think I ever would have gotten it via email either.
Where was he at this point?
He said he was in Honduras.
Okay. So he's out of jail. He's out of jail.
He had been out for a while. I bet you found out he'd gone to Mexico for a while, and then Guatemala, and was in Honduras, and he wanted me to meet with him there. And
okay. So you have to make a decision, and the decision is well, I'm going to have to go there, right? What was involved in that decision? I mean, what kind of calculations do you have to do as a journalist?
I guess my big concern was, where am I going to meet with this guy? I prefer to not do it on his terms, or turf. So he said he had to go to Tegucigalpa for something, that we could meet there. I know Tegucigalpa well. I had some ideas on where I could meet with him and feel secure. And so I guess I just ultimately decided to risk it.
And meet with him in Tegucigalpa.
Yeah, so I traveled to Tegucigalpa and then waited 3 weeks, and he just wasn't. He kept telling me he was going to be there in the next few days, and blah blah blah.
So you're 3 weeks in Tegucigalpa waiting for his text or phone call or whatever.
Just yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
just there just for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so finally, I'm like, look, like, is there somewhere else I can meet you? And he tells me, I'm in the Ceiba. I'm here. I literally flew there the next day, got in the afternoon, checked into a hotel,
And it's on the northern coast,
North
right?
Coast, yep,
Yeah.
on the Caribbean coast. And so I checked into a hotel there, in the center of town, and then we set up a meeting that night.
And tell me about that meeting.
So I'm sitting by the pool at the hotel waiting for him to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose that spot because it's a public spot, and that's the best for security, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah. You want a public place.
And so I'm sitting by the pool, just kind of watching as people come into the pool area. I kind of stake out a corner in the back, kind of away from other people. You want to do it in the public place, but I don't want people listening to the conversation either. You don't want people right next to you.
Right.
So that's kind of the difficulty. And so I'm sitting in the corner, and I see this skinny guy in a baseball cap come in. And looking around.
Do you had a picture of him? Did you have some kind of like way to identify him?
The only pictures I had were the pictures that had shown up in the media when he was arrested in Guatemala. And he was a big guy.
Mm-hmm. Beefy.
Yeah, beefy, heavyset guy. So that's what I was looking for. Is a skinny guy comes in and just kind of wave and see if he like reacts to that. And he just
Here's the gringo. Yeah.
saw me, saw the gringo, and so he knew it was me. And so yeah, that was one of the first things I said to him. I was like, man, you lost a lot of weight.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What'd he say?
He said, yeah, and he basically hoped that nobody would recognize him because of that. I don't know if he did that purposely or just was I think it was more, or the hope. But yeah, I mean, he slimmed down in prison, and at least people who had only seen him in those photos, you wouldn't recognize him.
Yeah. What was the conversation like? What did you guys talk about?
I mean, just kind of chit chat a little bit, and I just kind of asked him like why he's doing this, kind of what kind of terms he wanted, and in terms of wanted to be anonymous source or what, which I figured, and of course he did. And he just kind of went on about all these guys are corrupt hypocrites. He said to me over and over again,
Right. All politicians are corrupt. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
corrupt. And he was clearly just kind of feeling me out too, because I thought he had the video, was showing up with the video. He did not show up with the video that night.
And then what do? You have to meet with him again. I mean, to get the video, what did you do?
So he told me he'd bring me to his house the next day. So the next day I'm sitting by the pool having lunch, and all of a sudden I see this young guy come in, and I can just see he's got a gun sticking out from his waist, from his jeans, like they stick in the front of their jeans. And he's like looking around, and
Not the same guy, a different
not
guy.
the same
right?
guy, different guy I had not seen. Like, so like I actually got worried for a second. I did not wave this guy over.
You didn't raise your hand on this occasion.
No, not this time, because I was like, I saw the gun, and I'm like, oh,
great. Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought he was gonna like send me a message when he was on his way to get me or something like that. So I wasn't sure of the situation. Then he walks up to me and said, "Estás esperando al jefe? Are you waiting for the boss?" And I'm like, I guess, yeah, like that.
Uh-huh.
That must be me.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you must be a little bit apprehensive. I mean, they haven't notified you. A guy with a gun walks up, and now you're gonna go to a space that you don't control. What are you thinking right now when he's saying that, and you see this guy with this gun?
I mean, yeah, it could have been a setup. At that point, I had no idea if Byron was really going to be out there, or where it's going to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, worst case scenario, Byron just set me up. It's certainly a possibility, and these things certainly run through your mind.
Are you in contact with David at this stage? I mean, did he knows where you are.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who you're meeting with.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the details, right?
Yeah, you always want to have at least one person, in this case, my reporting partner, knowing where you are.
Did you communicate with David at any point after the guy picked you up and started off to Byron's house?
No. I just didn't want to do anything that looked weird.
Right. So you hop in his car.
Yeah. Well, I hopped in the back of a brand new pickup truck. It still had plastic on the inside. Byron's in the front seat driving, and then
Byron's there.
Yeah, but that was obviously a relief. And then his bodyguard hops in the front seat. I'm in the back. They got guns on the center console, and Byron's got a gun in between his legs, and so it's just kind of uncomfortable.
That's one word, uncomfortable.
Yeah. They were super nice, kind of making chit chat, talking about women, offering to hook me up with Honduran women. And about 20 minutes after we left, we came out to a police checkpoint. I got really nervous because I'm thinking, like, man, they got these guns. Like I'm not doing anything wrong here, but this is gonna be a huge scandal if they get busted.
Right.
But yeah, so we get to the police checkpoint. They roll down, the polarized windows, blacked out windows, and the cop just waves them right through. And I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get to the house, so we pulled inside the garage, and then right after that, another pickup truck pulled right up, and they stayed outside.
Maybe kind of part of the protection detail or something. Yeah.
We went inside the complex. Wasn't that big of a house. I mean, nice for Honduran standards, absolutely. A pool a little bit. I'd seen better days. Looked like the house probably, been abandoned for some time. And yeah, I mean, offered a beer or whatever I wanted. I think he gave me like a tea.
What's the conversation like now? Is it now get straight to the point, or?
Yeah. It was pretty much straight to the point. And then he goes inside, he comes back out, and he's got, like a banker's bag, like little, like kind of like a purse sort of thing, and puts that on the table. I open it up and pull out a USB. So I pull out my laptop, stick it in, and then just start kind of panning through the video.
Compa Carlos, el compa estaría dando
until I see Carlos Zelaya's face just clear as day, which really doesn't happen until minute 21 or something in the video. So I pan through a while, and I'm like kind of getting worried for a minute because he told me Carlos Zelaya. I'm not seeing Carlos Zelaya, but then just clear as day, there he is, and Byron's like, ahí está.
Did he tell you how he had gotten the video?
He told me that he had gotten it from somebody close to the Cachiros, and that he had it for a long time, since before he went into prison himself, and that he had others, but that he had hidden them in other places and hadn't been able to recover.
Did he seem like he was afraid of the contents of the video? Did it make him, was he fearing for his own safety because of what he was holding?
No.
He didn't.
I don't think he was worried about it at all. No. So
you see Carlos Zelaya, and you're like, okay, this is a pretty big deal. I mean, do you hang out and watch it and talk to him about it, or did you just take off and say, well, I better get out of here and I can process this later?
I mean, we flipped through it a little bit, and I just kind of verified some faces with him and stuff like that, and then just kind of asked him a few more questions about, who's involved in trafficking, what other politicians and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to be an anonymous source, and I frankly didn't want to be there very long, so I didn't try to conduct like a long, in-depth interview with him because I didn't think I'd ever be able to use it.
Right.
My objective was to get the video and go. And there's a bunch of guys there with guns and stuff. Just not a very comfortable place to be. And so we talked for a bit. He ordered some food and just kind of talked about some random stuff. He told me a few things of interest, and then he had his driver take me back.
When did you really know you had something big?
I mean, immediately I knew as soon as I saw Carlos Zelaya's face clear as day that it was a big deal because I'd already seen several very recognizable drug traffickers clear as day too. And so I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't fully grasp it until later as I went through and listened to it over and over and over again to transcribe it. First, just realizing that Carlos had explicitly said that half of the money would be for El Comandante, which is how they refer to his brother Mel.
La mitad que vea por comandante.
I didn't think he would be that explicit. And for him to be that explicit, I mean, it's pretty stupid. The narcos responded like, listen, buddy, you do whatever you want with the money. Like, that's your deal. Like, they don't care. And then also just realizing that they discussed previous bribes allegedly paid to Mel.
Right. You knew it was big. You knew it was big at that point.
And it's all on video. And the best part about it, really, Steve, was that it was a verifiable video because since it was one of these Cachiros videos that the Department of Justice has had and numerous people have had access to as part of these court cases, because anytime the Cachiros are a witness against somebody, the defense has access to all material related to that witness, regardless if it mentions directly their client or not. So that means at this point, a lot of people had seen these videos actually.
Right.
They were protected by an order under seal, but at this point, a lot of people had seen them. So this made it so that with sources we had already developed, we were easily able to get two people who had seen the video before, were able to corroborate its authenticity.
Sure. Just so we're clear on this, you could go to people who were involved in other court cases in the United States who had seen the video and could say with authority that this is the same video that they saw and that it was part of a judicial process in the United States. You got at least two others to say that.
Yeah.
And this is the process of corroboration, of course, which was my next line of inquiry. What other things did you guys do to corroborate the authenticity of the video?
I mean, I looked at the metadata immediately. I'm not a big tech guy, but I know that. And I looked at the metadata right away, and it showed, the a date in November 2013, and everything just seemed to check out there.
In terms of the timing of it was during the campaign
when it was created. Yeah, they're saying in the video that's a couple weeks away from the election day. And then the metadata shows this video was created on like November, I don't remember, 6 or 7, something like that. I don't remember it exactly. So that's the first thing. And then really, I mean, as soon as we had the corroboration from the two other people, I didn't really have any doubt.
What about the audio itself? The audio was very garbled, difficult to understand. How did you transcribe that? How did you deal with that?
Sure. I had to get the help of, a trusted colleague, a Honduran, that would just frankly be able to understand things better than any non-native Spanish speaker would, but particularly a Honduran. They know all the lingo and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did different things too, by slowing down the audio and just kind of cleaning it up in different ways to try to get more and more tidbits. It was a really, really long and extremely tedious process. I mean, I've seen that video so many times.
And then the gift from the heavens, as I like to call it, the impromptu press conference by Carlos Zelaya himself, who then really corroborates the video and the meeting itself, which was arguably the most important corroboration, which you didn't ask for. What's your sense of the timing of that? There's a whole like sort of timeline in the lead up to that. What was your interpretation of those? First of all, what were those events, and what was your interpretation of them?
Well, first off, Xiomara Castro denounced the extradition treaty seemingly out of the blue. It wasn't out of the blue to me in the least bit. I was certain that they knew about the video. My theory at that point was because I had contacted Ramon Mata Walderaga, one of the drug traffickers that appears in the video and who's now a free man, served his time in the U.S. already, is back in Honduras. I had contacted him for comment on the video several days prior to that, and he was the only one I had contacted. So he knew I had the video. So at that point, it was out there. As journalists, we have to do this prior to stories, contact people to get their version of events or give them an opportunity to comment if they like, or refute things if they like. And the decision was made to contact Walderaga first, simply because of the drug traffickers in the video. He was the only one that was really accessible.
Accessible or visible or both?
No, accessible. The rest are all in prison currently. You know, our hope, obviously, as journalists, is that he'll give us more information that doesn't appear in the video. So we contacted him first.
Did you have any feeling at that point that it was related to Byron? I mean, was there any sense that anything had leaked from his side, or he had talked to somebody about passing the video off to somebody?
I didn't think so at that point. No, my suspect at that point was entirely Mata Walderaga, who was from Olancho, which is Elias' home department. Everybody knows everybody there, and obviously he knew Carlos Zelaya because he had met with him before.
Right, right. So the timing is you reach out to Mata Walderaga. A few days later, Xiomara Castro comes out and denounces the U.S. and says that there is now a clock ticking down to the day when they cancel all extraditions, right? They stop their extradition treaty with the U.S. And then a few days after that, Carlos Zelaya comes out of a meeting he's just had, I believe, with the Attorney General's office, and gives an impromptu press conference during which he talks about the video, even though the video hasn't become public yet, right? When you see him give that impromptu press conference, what was your reaction?
I was kind of pissed.
Yeah, you were.
Because they're, obviously trying to preempt our story. And so anytime that happens, as a journalist, I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you remember how I reacted?
Yeah, you were happy about it.
I was happy. Yes. I was happy for multiple reasons. I actually think it helps boost the story, and I do believe it helped boost the story. But the reality for me was it was the ultimate corroboration at that point. So we'll fast forward a little bit because just a few days later we actually published. And what was that like for you?
I mean, my phone was blowing up all day. I mean, actually, a little bit before, rumors just started really circulating in Honduras that I had the video specifically. And so in the hours before we published, other journalists were hitting me up And then as soon as we published, my phone just blew up. Everybody I had ever spoken to seemingly had a comment on the video, and then just journalists from really all over the world reached out for interviews. And so yeah, I just kind of disconnected and went out in my garden for a while.
So the story's out. You're being inundated. Are you also, I mean, are you fearful? I mean, I'm not just talking about your physical safety, but legally, are you thinking, oh, these guys are going to sue? What is this going to mean? I'm never going to be able to go back to Honduras. What are you thinking in that regard?
I was not at all concerned about being sued because it doesn't get more solid than what we had, particularly after Carlos's own admission. That's oftentimes a concern when people publish, but in this case, that was not my concern. I was concerned that there might be repercussions for me if I went back to Honduras and maybe would find that I can't get it anymore, or have a new migratory alert on me, like the Honduran government used to have on me, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And what about your source? What happened with Byron?
I never heard from him again. I reached out to my a little bit afterwards.
You gave it some time and then sent him out.
I'd
Yeah.
like to give it some time around publication, just in case anyone's trying to read my communications at that very moment or something like that. So I like to put a little space in between it, if possible. And so I reached out to him, and the number I had was a Guatemalan number. It just didn't go through anymore.
Hmm. And then tell us what happened to him not long after that.
Sure. And February 12th, this year, 2025, so about a little bit less than 6 months after all that, he like stopped at a store or something in small town Guatemala outside the capital, and was met by a pair of Colombian assassins on motorcycles who managed to shoot him. They killed him. And even though Byron, apparently it looked like he had 2 trucks full of security guards,
So professional hit job.
professional, at least a paid hit job. I don't know how professional, but paid hit job. 2 guys that turned out to be Colombian. One of them died. The other one's in prison. He claimed that the one who died made the deal, and that he never met the person who hired them. They just got hired to, kill Byron. And I don't know. You got to wonder how they found him.
Yeah. What went through your head when you heard he was killed?
As soon as I saw it, I mean, my thoughts were quite selfish, honestly, and I was quite concerned for my own safety, because I was in Tegucigalpa at that moment. And so my immediate thought was trying to figure out if this somehow endangers me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even though Byron obviously is a person who had lots of enemies. And but eventually I just determined, I never revealed my source. So I didn't at that point think there was necessarily a connection. People in that world, they got enemies always.
Right. I mean, it must have gone through your head, though. I mean, is the Zelaya family behind it? Anybody close to them? What do you think about it now when you think about who might have been behind it? Or do you think there's even a connection between the narco video and his death?
We can't say for sure what happened. What our reporting shows is that there's more potential motives out there than have been floated in public. The theories from the Guatemalan police was, drug deal gone wrong. Like, it's what they always say.
Yeah.
Or somebody taking revenge for Byron's cooperation in the United States.
Right.
Our reporting shows that Byron did cooperate in the United States, but at the same time, his cooperation really wasn't significant. He never testified against anybody, and there weren't any indictments generated as a result of his cooperation. So that nobody really has that much reason to be super mad about Byron with Byron for that particularly. The Honduran National Police went after him. So they eventually, raid that house where I met with him in Los Angeles. They found the narco video, and prior to our publication and prior to Xiomara Castro denouncing the extradition treaty. We know that the government knew about it. We knew that who knows how many people found out about that, about the fact that Byron had that video, according to sources. The fact that he had that video, people had the impression that he was working for the DEA.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if people are thinking he's actively working for the DEA.
Yeah, things are adding up against him, basically.
Yeah, that's, there's with this guy, there's tons of potential motives. But at this point, with the reporting we've done since releasing the video, and really since Byron's death, there's just simply more possibilities than what's been known publicly previously, is what I'd say.
I mean, what's your takeaway from having done this work and other work on Juan Orlando Hernandez? What's your big takeaway from all of this work?
Really, that the corruption is the system, not the exception, and the infiltration of drug traffickers in the Honduran political system is the rule, not the exception. It's just how it works, especially, I mean, in the peak of like the golden age of Honduran drug trafficking, which is probably between 2004 and 2017, let's call it. When that's when the extradition started to have an effect and kind of affecting roots and flows a little bit. During that period, I mean, prior to the extradition treaty, I mean, there's really almost no reason. I mean, plenty of reason. There was no threat really of getting in trouble for taking the drug money.
Yeah. So this has just become normalized at this point.
I think so. I think today people are probably a little bit more careful.
They're not sending their brother-in-laws out to narco meetings.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably putting more layers between themselves and being more careful about words they use and what they say or don't say. But they're just the temptation is too great. It's too much money. The need for politicians to get that money to stay in power. Staying in power so oftentimes means staying out of jail for other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you have this vicious cycle that I'm certain drug money is going to be a factor in these elections too.
Jeff, thank you very much for all of your work and your time in speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
You can check out more audio stories, podcasts, and long-form narrative journalism by following InSight Crime on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. And for more breaking news, deeply researched investigations, and timely analyses of organized crime throughout the Americas, visit insightcrime.org. Thanks for listening.